in all seriousness, surfaces and interfaces, so this would be just publish. Not accepted in press or anything like that, but just published. What the hell? This is one of those days when I thought I was going to be recording on something else. And then one thing led to another this morning. And I found myself with something much else to talk about. And I'm wearing this shirt for a particular reason. Because there's a problem here. I talked about it earlier this week, if you were on this channel, that one of the things that scientific publishing, science in general, is going to have to wrestle with is the ethics of a creation of science, which is AI, artificial intelligence. We have to now wrestle with the ethics of using it and dealing with the challenges of using it. And you already figured that out from my commentary on this particular article last week before the Side Chat Saturday with Kieran on cellular functions and spermatogonial stem cells and all that jazz that was retracted. Why? Because it has AI-generated figures in it, and no wonder it was retracted, as it should have been. So, like, if I go in here and look at the article, like, oh, whoops, it's a download, stupid thing. Can I read it in here? No. Okay. But either way, I'm not going to dwell on that and bring it back up again. But that was the one with the, screwed up images, royally screwed up by the AI. It was obvious it was wrong, still made it through peer review, and it was some guy on Twitter, now X, who found the problem. And that's kind of embarrassing. Well, we're going to get into something a little bit more because I guarantee you that's not the only problem now, because I had mentioned that I had heard about AI articles, as in the text being written by AI, getting into publications or being submitted to publications, though from the editors that I had heard from, they were able to catch it. That is not so much, but the editors who have caught it, good on you, you're doing your job. Right, that. And if this gets me a little ticked off, I'll let you know why. Because I have done peer review before. I know how much time and energy it takes to do a good peer review right. So I am very sympathetic to people who, don't have the time, because peer reviewers aren't paid to do peer review. People forget this. Nobody gets a paycheck to do peer review at all. We do it for professional clout. We do it because we are supposed to be making our contribution to making sure that the things published are rigorous, well-researched, not created by cheaters and not biased, that kind of thing. You're supposed to find hoax papers when they arise. That is supposed to be one of the purposes of peer review. So forgive me if I get a little aggravated. But you might notice that there's been a thread on Twitter that showed up today of people finding articles that, went haywire. And this is per my usual thing. I always go back to source materials because, of course, this could be this could be wrong. And so we're going to look at the source materials because I guarantee you this is not wrong. This is correct that this is not AI-generated figures. This is AI-generated manuscript text, which, frankly, is ethically a violation. Ethically, it is a huge violation. And so we're going to get into that. So this is one of the articles. The publisher here is Elsevier. Science Direct is under Elsevier. Actually, Radiology Case Reports is the journal here. This is not currently published, because you see on here the date is June of 2024. But what often happens with these things nowadays is that the article will appear online before it is appearing in print, because a lot of these are still printed out in magazine-esque like things, or books, as you will themselves. Particularly for folks who just don't have internet access, that kind of thing works better, or just has, poor internet connection, that kind of thing. But you will often see, dates a little bit further out for that kind of thing. I just want to make that particular point. But you will see an article appear online earlier than its official publication date. This is different from the journals that are now purely online and don't do print publications at all, where it's published in online, and the online publication date matches the in-print publication date, because essentially there's no in-print unless you want to print it off yourself. Now, as a first look at this, you would think that, there's nothing that seems to be really wrong with it. This article, Successful Management of an Iatrogenic Portal Vein and Hepatic Artery Injury in a 4-month-old. A case review and literature review. A case report and literature review. Okay. This is by a bunch of medical doctors in here, as you can tell, because it's radiology case reports. This is a medical journal. Serious iatrogenic vascular injuries are considered uncommon. However, they are underreported. There are limited studies discussing the proper management of these injuries. Therefore, the management is often anecdotal. A 4-month-old female patient presented with elevated liver enzymes and cholestasis with sludge. I don't know how to pronounce some of the words, so I'm going to butcher that. Her HEDA scan suggested biliary atresia. During the surgery, there was a bilateral iatrogenic injury to the hepatoduodenal ligament, including the portal vein, hepatic artery, and bile ducts. Patient underwent a splenectomy and... Oh, good grief. Cholecystectomy. I have no idea if I pronounced that right, but I'm trying. And the hepatic artery artery transection was successfully managed with splenic artery jump graft and portal vein bypass initiated with SVM using a Gore-Tex vascular graft. The management of iatrogenic vascular injury depends primarily on the assessment of the stage of the injury, which should be conducted by experienced surgeons using proper strategies in an established hepatobiliary surgical center. Additionally, there is little data provided in literature, mostly case reports, therefore no preferred or specific approach can be found. Now, I immediately have a problem with this just on the abstract, I will tell you, just because there's a whole bunch of really, really specific stuff, and an abstract is supposed to be a summary of the work. Now, most of this looks very, very good. Very, very good. Like, well written. It's in the jargon of a medical profession, and, it's got the images and things like that here, and this is coming from, CT scan right here is what this is a CT scan image. Pediatric surgery team, this is some fairly gory imagery. I hope you haven't been eating. From the surgery, presuming that's real. But as you'll see, we don't know now for sure. We get all the way down here to the discussion, the very, very last paragraph in the discussion, and here is what we get. In summary, the management of a bilateral iatrogenic, I'm very sorry, but I don't have access to real-time information or patient-specific data as I am an AI language model. I can provide general information about manning, hepatic artery, portal vein, and bile duct injuries, but for specific cases, it is essential to consult with a medical professional who has access to the patient's medical records and can provide personalized advice. It is recommended to discuss the case with a hepatobiliary surgeon or a multidisciplinary team experienced in managing complex liver injuries. That is, prompts from an AI language model, i.e. your chat GPTs or something very, very, very similar. And because that's there, that immediately raises the question, how much of this is AI generated? We can't actually fully know that unless the authors admit to writing the whole thing by AI. But how the hell did this get past peer review? Remember, this has been accepted. It's not been formally fully published yet because, the publication date is June, right? This is a early online release. It hasn't been published yet, officially. How the hell did this get past peer review? What fucking reviewer was not paying attention? What editor was not paying attention to this? I don't care how busy you are. That would just be a flag down, even just for the flow and how much it screws up the ending. Who the hell was not paying attention? Who the hell just signed off and did that? I take it seriously because peer review is extremely important, and while it's certainly not perfect, it is one of the best things we ever have. But this is somebody not doing their damn job, is what this is. This never should have made it past peer review if there was somebody who was even paying a modicum bit of attention. So, yeah, heads should roll at that journal. And whomever those reviewers are, I don't think they should be reviewing anything else. The editor who is charged with facilitating this through peer review needs to not be an editor anymore. Because that says to me that they're not necessarily taking this very seriously either, or doing their job with it. But who knows, right? Now, there were others that I do want to point out with this. There's another one here. I don't need full access, because this one ended up being right in the introduction. 2023, this is a review article. This is also one of those things that's in press. It hasn't been formally published yet. In press currently, this is another medical journal, Journal of Cardiothoracic and Vascular Anesthesia. Elsevier again. Elsevier, you got problems. Gotta say, you got problems. Again, more doctors involved here. Liver transplant continues to... These are both liver themed, I noticed. Continues to provide life-saving treatment for patients with end-stage liver disease. Advances in the field of transplant anesthesiology continue to support the care of more complex patients. The use of extracorporeal membrane oxygenation has been described in critical care settings and cardiac surgery, but may be a valuable option for specific conditions for patients undergoing liver transplant. Changes to the allocation process for liver grafts now focus on acuity circles to reduce regional disparities. As the number of life-saving transplant surgeries increases, so does the need for specialty knowledge in the anesthetic considerations of these procedures. The specialty of transplant anesthesiology continues to grow and develop to meet the needs and to meet the demands of complex patients and the increased number of transplants performed. Liver transplantation can be a resource-demanding procedure, and predicting the need for massive transfusion can aid in planning and preparing for significant blood loss. Introduction. Because this is behind a paywall, you'll only get section snippets after this, so unfortunately I can't go in and look at it. The field of transplant anesthesiology continues to develop and evolve. As anesthesiologists caring for patients undergoing liver transplantation, there are many unique and challenging aspects to consider. As with previous editions, the authors selected topics of interest to transplant anesthesiologists. Is this a book? Is this a book? Wait a second. No, it's a review article. But why? Wait. As with previous editions, unless this group of authors has done previous review articles, that makes no sense. And that tells me this is written by an AI too. Actually, that actually logically makes no sense. Because you wouldn't necessarily put something like that in a review article. I think that's AI. I think this whole thing is AI written, judging from that. But anyway, let me get to the end where it made it very obvious. While the use of extracorporeal membrane oxygenation has been described in cardiac surgery and critical care settings, its use in LT, or liver transplantation, is a growing area of interest. Recent regulatory changes updated the allocation policy that aims to reduce geographic disparities, and this will impact providers across the country. The use of dedicated teams for LT can provide clinical benefits to patients. As such, there's a growing interest to better define how we train and educate transplant anesthesiologists. Finally, new strategies are being developed to predict the need for massive transfusion in LT and help prepare centers for the management of blood resources. I'm sorry, but I don't have the document you're referring to. If you provide me with the document, I can certainly assist you with checking its grammar. Now, this was the one that got highlighted online in one of the other articles that was down here in this thread. A couple of people started contributing to it. Yeah, here's like this one. It's this one right here. This guy was looking for it in here with this particular article. I can certainly assist you with checking its grammar. But like I said, I think the more subtle clue that this was written by AI altogether is this thing. Here, as with previous editions, the author selected topics of interest to transplant anesthesiologists. Why is that even there? That makes no sense where it is right there. That makes no sense. And what previous editions, and like I said, unless these authors have written previous review articles for this publication, and so they can say that, that's not legit. That is absolutely not legit. in the slightest. Now, the way the article is titled makes me think it is possible, but that makes no sense right there, even if it is possible. That makes absolutely no sense to have that right there. So again, AI generated. How much of the rest of this is also AI generated at this point, and should you even trust it? You know? Now, I will say the thing about this here with the grammar does point to one thing where I think it's okay to have AI involved, and that is in checking your grammar. But you need to be the one writing the whole text first. Otherwise, to me, it is wildly unethical. It is wildly unethical to have your manuscript written entirely by AI, and that is what this smacks of to me. That you just went copy-paste. And again, where the hell is the reviewers? Where the hell was the editor? That you didn't see that in the introduction. This is the kind of thing that, again, makes me very mad, because I know the time and energy it takes to do a good peer review. That wasn't even trying to do a peer review, if you didn't see that. That wasn't even trying to do it. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one we were just looking at. There was a couple of... Oh, yeah, this is another one. Surface and interfaces. Again, Elsevier. Elsevier, you got a problem here. Three-dimensional porous mesh structure of copper-based, because Cu is copper, metal organic framework. Aramid cellulose separator enhances the electrochemical performance of lithium metal anode batteries. Lithium metal, due to its advantages of high theoretical capacity, low density, and low electrochemical reaction potential, is used as a negative electrode material for batteries and brings great potential for the next generation of energy storage systems. However, the production of lithium metal dendrites makes the battery life low and poor safety. Interesting. That combination doesn't work as a sentence. So lithium dendrites have been the biggest problem of lithium metal batteries. This study shows that the larger surface area and more porous structure, I think they mean more porous, which makes it even more ironic when I read this now, considering what I'm about to show you again, of copper-based metal organic framework, aramid cellulose composite separator can help inhibit the formation of lithium dendrites. After 110 cycles at 1 megaamp per centimeter squared, the discharge capacity retained the rate of the lithium copper battery using the separator is about 96%. Lithium batteries can continue to maintain low hysteresis for 2,000 hours at the same current density. The results show that the composite membrane can inhibit the generation of lithium dendrites. Three-dimensional 3D porous mesh of copper separator provides new perspective for practical application of the lithium metal battery. All right. Go down to the bottom of the introduction. Where is it? It's not the bottom of the introduction. Where is it? Shoot, I know there was a thing in here for that. Hang on a second. I can't remember. Duh, dimwit, it's staring me in the face. Oh my gosh, I've been reading these too much. Straight away, first sentence. Certainly, here is a possible introduction for your topic. In all seriousness, surfaces and interfaces, so this would be just published. Not accepted in press or anything like that, but just published. What the hell? This actually ticks me off to no end, because it tells me if you're doing something like that, none of this is your work. The authors, none of this is your work. There's a reason I don't like AI for scientific writing and publishing. Why? Because it is a model, and the model is pulling from its training data, right? So when you're asking it to write something, you are having it pull from every other thing that's out there, i.e., this is not your own words. When you write something with AI, it is not your own words, ever. You're stealing it from somebody else, essentially. That's what ticks me off with this, and this is why I get annoyed when I see it, and peer reviewers don't catch it, particularly when it is very, very, very obvious. Now, where do we go from here? I don't want to make this a long, ranty video. Though you can tell I'm pissed off seeing all this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. AI is a creation out of STEM particularly. And of course, not all STEM disciplines, but it is a creation out of STEM. Now that we have it, you have to wrestle with the ethics of it. And particularly the ethics for scientific publishing. So, Elsevier, you effed up with this. And Frontiers, you effed up with this. And I saw another one, I couldn't pull it up, but it's in here somewhere because I can't access the internal thing because it's behind a paywall. I can only show you from the other piece here. Certainly, here's a more detailed explanation. I'm quite certain it's actually in this particular part of a book, but I can't access behind the paywall to check for sure. So I would have to have somebody else, please fact check me on that one. That kind of thing. But when it's so damn obvious like that, and it's in an accepted paper, and this is actually part of a book, by the way. This is not actually a paper by itself. It is part of a book. Is the whole book written with AI at that point? That's my question with that. Springer is the publisher for this one. Guys, what the hell are you doing? You're behind the curve if you are not setting these scientific ethics. You're not setting the ethics for publication on this one, which should be your manuscript should not be written by AI. Neither should the figures be generated by AI. That's my 2 cents on what it should be. But you haven't even set the ground rules as far as I can tell for your own damn publications. As far as I can tell with it. I could be wrong. Please tell me if I am. But this has to be wrestled with. This absolutely has to be wrestled with, or this is going to cause a world of problems for scientific publishing before long. Because that's what? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles. 5 of them that made it through peer review with obviously written AI, not even subtly so. And I think, I think some of these are like, like this thing seems to be potentially subtly so just because it's so out of place from everything else. When I read that sentence, that's why I stopped. I was like, that's completely out of place. It doesn't read right. I could be wrong. Could be there genuinely. But it seems like it could be, and it makes me highly suspect given that, you had the AI checking the grammar and you left that in there. So, this is crazy. I'm amazed that this got through peer review. Which just says to me, editors' heads need to roll, and Elsevier in particular, because 3 of these are Elsevier at this point. What the hell are you guys doing? But this is the reason, this is what I was concerned about, and this is the reason we now have to wrestle with scientific ethics and using AI in publishing, and need to set the rules and figure out how you're going to enforce those rules and check people who are doing this kind of stuff, because I'm guaranteeing there's probably some of this that's a lot more subtle. But that needs to be done very, very quickly. But whomever screwed up in the case of these 5 articles, and particularly Elsevier, is just royally screwed up across multiple journals at this point. Editors need to lose positions. Because most of the time, the content editors for this stuff aren't paid either. They need to lose positions, and heads need to roll at Elsevier because you guys let this through. That's my 2 cents on that, but this is the problem. Lots of checking needs to be done. We need to wrestle with these ethics very, very soon. Anyway, let me know what you think. Hit the like button on the way out the door, comment on the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that lovely good jazz. Until next time, I'm Adrian. Stay curious.